An inspiring story of beating the coronavirus, even if you are high risk. Former ANC MP Judy Chalmers is reported to be recovering after she was diagnosed with COVID-19. The 87-year-old contracted the virus while attending the wedding of her great-nephew. She joins us live now to share more details about her recovery. Judy, very good morning to you. I'm delighted to hear that you are so much better. I know a couple of days ago you went for another test. What did it find, and how are you feeling now?
Yes, well, yesterday I was retested, Jane, and I should hear today. Look, if it's 21 days for me today since I started symptoms, and it's been quite a hard time and a little bit unusual because I didn't have the usual symptoms. And I think one has to realize that with COVID-19, every case is not the same, that it isn't always cough and chest and temperature. With me, it was extreme nausea, some temperature, and one of the hardest things was to lose my sense of smell and taste, which apparently is a very common symptom. And but it's horrible because you feel as though you're eating cardboard for a period of time.
Yes, I can imagine. I mean, and did it feel very different to anything else you've ever experienced? Was it just a combination of those feelings and symptoms that led you to believe that you did have COVID-19?
No, indeed. And anyway, we went to had our wonderful wedding, came home, didn't expect anything like this would happen, and then heard that one of our members, the people attending the wedding, had tested positive. And then my granddaughter, who's gone back to Australia, she tested positive. So I live in a retirement village with a lot of possibly vulnerable people. So the management thought, and I thought it was a good idea, and I went for tested and blow me down if I wasn't positive too. So that was a shock, in fact. I mean, I'm 87 and in good health, but you never know how this thing is going to... It's a creepy sort of virus, and it can, as it did with me, catch you unawares. And anyway, I had to isolate.
Okay, Judy, let me ask you about that. I mean, you are 87 years old, and that's probably why we're speaking to you now. Firstly, it's fantastic to hear that the majority of people recover from this, but being 87, I was reading about you, some articles were saying your time in Black Sash as an ANC MP made you stronger for this kind of thing. But what would you say is behind your recovery?
I say a bit of luck. I have a strong body that I've always cared for, and it has served me well. I think I was fortunate in that it did not go to my chest, but I also think that one's mental attitude is enormously important because I live alone and I suddenly found myself completely isolated. But in the same breath, I would like to say that I was not really alone. I had enormous support from my family, from my friends who brought me food. And so I never at any time, I never panicked. My doctor was wonderful and gave me and checked up on me regularly. But I have seen nobody really in the flesh for 3 weeks. And it's been hard.
And how frightened were you when you heard this and when you told others in your family and who'd been at the wedding that you were positive?
Yes, there were about 10, 12, 14 of them, including the bride and groom, which was a bit hard. But they had similar symptoms to me, and we kept in touch, and that was a huge help. I think one needs to know and be in touch, if it's possible, with people who are suffering from the same condition as you. None of us, and you have to realize it's not a death sentence, Jamie. The great majority of people do survive, but there are certainly things that you have to have in place in order to survive. And one of them is isolation. The second is a very positive attitude. I took the only medication they recommend, which is paracetamol, and I was on an anti-nausea. Lots of hot drinks, ginger, rooibos tea was great. But because of the nausea and the lack of sense and smell. You don't feel like eating, but you just have to jolly well keep on eating and exercise if it is possible.
Let me ask you this, and briefly, if you will, Judy. I mean, Cyril Ramaphosa is debating whether he should extend the lockdown or not. From your own personal experience and the fact that you had to self-isolate, any advice there?
As far as the just to say briefly here that I think the President has been fantastic, and I think the Minister of Health, William Teaser, has been extraordinary. For me, if the lockdown is extended, yes, it will be hard. I think it is probably essential in terms of isolation, but I would hope that that there's some leniency about it, because I think it is absolutely essential for everybody to have some exercise, and I think there needs to be some leniency expressed and some way of softening the blow of the lockdown, because otherwise people the danger is that they just will not abide by it, and that there will be a sort of mini rebellion, and they will not isolate to the extent that they probably should in order to keep the virus at bay.
Judy, thank you for making yourself available, and I look forward to speaking to you again in 10 years' time.